The morning sun spilled over the small town of Orangeburg, South Carolina, casting a golden glow on the quiet streets. 16-year-old Emma Hart stood by her bedroom window, watching as the yellow school bus pulled up outside her house. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was her first day at Orangeburg Wilkinson High School, a place where 99% of the students were black, and she, a white girl, would be one of the few exceptions. Emma's mother, Sarah, was a passionate social activist who believed in breaking down racial barriers. She had made the bold decision to enroll Emma in Orangeburg Wilkinson to challenge the persistent ethnic segregation that lingered in their community, even decades after the 1954 Brown v. Board of Education ruling outlawed racial segregation in schools. Sarah wanted her daughter to grow up in a world where color didn't define connection. But for Emma, the decision wasn't as straightforward. Her friends, mostly white, had questioned her choice. "Why are you going there?" one had asked, eyebrows raised. Emma didn't have a clear answer then, but deep inside, she felt a spark of curiosity. She wanted to be different, to step out of the bubble she'd always known. Grabbing her backpack, Emma headed toward the bus. Sarah walked her to the door, her eyes warm with encouragement. "You're going to learn so much, sweetheart," she said, squeezing Emma's shoulder. Emma nodded, but her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts as she stepped onto the bus, its engine rumbling softly. The ride to school was quiet. Emma sat near the front, clutching her backpack, stealing glances at the other students. They laughed and chatted, their voices blending into a lively hum. She felt like an outsider, but she reminded herself that this was just the beginning. Orangeburg Wilkinson High School was an old building, its red brick exterior weathered but clean. As Emma stepped into the main hallway, she felt every eye on her. Groups of black students filled the corridor, some whispering, others glancing curiously. A few offered tentative smiles, while others turned away. Emma's cheeks flushed as she navigated to her locker, fumbling with the combination while trying to blend in. Her first class was history, taught by Mrs. Johnson, a warm, middle-aged woman with a commanding presence. "Class, we have a new student today," Mrs. Johnson announced, gesturing toward Emma. "This is Emma Hart. Let's give her a warm welcome." The room fell silent for a moment before a few students clapped lightly or nodded. Emma slid into her seat, her heart pounding. "Just get through the day," she told herself. At lunch, Emma sat alone at a table in the crowded cafeteria, picking at her sandwich. She felt the weight of isolation, wondering if she'd made a mistake coming here. Then, a girl with long braids and a confident smile approached. "Hey, you're Emma, right?" she asked, her voice bright. "I'm Jazmine. Why are you sitting all by yourself? Come join us." Jazmine pointed to a table where a group of students was laughing and talking. Emma hesitated, but Jazmine's warmth was disarming. Grabbing her tray, she followed. Jazmine introduced her to the group, and though some were reserved, others were curious. "You're the new girl everyone's talking about," one of them, a boy named Malik, said with a grin. Emma laughed nervously, unsure how to respond. But as they talked about music, classes, and the upcoming school festival, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she could find her place here. The first few weeks were a roller coaster. Emma felt like she'd stepped into a different world. The music blasting in the hallways, hip-hop and R&B, was unfamiliar to her. The slang, the fashion, the way people moved and laughed, it was all new. Some students kept their distance, eyeing her with suspicion, while others, like Jazmine, made an effort to include her. Emma struggled to navigate the unspoken rules of this new environment, but she was determined to try. One day, as she walked to class, she overheard a group of boys muttering, "What's the white girl doing here?" The words stung, cutting deeper than she expected. She wanted to shrink away, but Jazmine, who'd become her closest ally, noticed her distress. "Don't let it get to you," Jazmine said later, sitting with Emma in the library. "Some people are just used to things being a certain way. Give them time. They'll come around when they see who you are." Emma took the advice to heart. She started small, joining conversations, asking questions, and listening. She learned about her classmates' lives, their dreams, and the challenges they faced in a school that was underfunded compared to the predominantly white schools across town. She began to understand the weight of history in Orangeburg, a town marked by the 1968 Orangeburg Massacre, where 3 black students were killed during a civil rights protest. The stories weren't just in history books. They lived in the community, in the families of her classmates. Jazmine became Emma's guide, introducing her to local traditions, from soul food at a nearby diner to the latest dance moves. They bonded over shared interests, like their love for cheesy rom-coms and late-night study sessions. Emma also connected with Malik, who was on the basketball team and had a knack for history. Together, they worked on a group project about the civil rights movement, which opened Emma's eyes to the struggles that shaped her new school. The school's annual festival was a turning point. Emma and Jazmine decided to perform a dance routine together, blending contemporary moves with a nod to local culture. As they rehearsed, Emma felt a sense of belonging she hadn't expected. On the day of the festival, the auditorium was packed. When they took the stage, the crowd erupted in cheers. Emma's nerves melted away as she moved in sync with Jazmine, the music pulsing through her. When they finished, the applause was deafening. For the first time, Emma felt like she wasn't just the new girl or the white girl. She was part of something bigger. As the school year progressed, Emma's perspective shifted. Her history class became a window into the past and present of Orangeburg. Mrs. Johnson didn't shy away from tough topics, like the legacy of segregation, redlining, and white flight that left schools like Orangeburg-Wilkinson under-resourced. Emma learned about the stark disparities between her school and the predominantly white ones nearby, which had newer facilities, better textbooks, and more extracurricular programs. It wasn't just history. It was the reality her classmates lived every day. Emma also began to see her mother's decision in a new light. Sarah had always talked about fighting for equality, but now Emma was living it. She saw how her presence in the school challenged assumptions, both her own and those of others. Some students still kept their distance, but many had warmed to her. She joined the debate club, where she met Aisha, a sharp-witted girl who dreamed of becoming a lawyer. By spring, Emma had carved out a place for herself. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. Her friendship with Jazmine deepened, and she'd grown close to Malik, Aisha, and others. They shared stories of their lives, from family traditions to the pressures they faced. Emma opened up about her own insecurities, like the fear of not fitting in, and found that her friends understood more than she'd expected. For a school project, Emma decided to write a blog post about her experience at Orangeburg-Wilkinson. Titled "Bridging the Divide," it detailed her journey from outsider to friend, reflecting on the challenges and rewards of crossing racial lines. When the school newspaper published it, the response was overwhelming. Students and teachers approached her, sharing how her words resonated. One teacher, Mr. Davis, told her, "You've shown that change starts with one person willing to step forward." As graduation approached, Emma looked back on her year with pride. She had faced stares, whispers, and moments of doubt, but she'd also found friendship, purpose, and a deeper understanding of the world. At the ceremony, as she walked across the stage to receive her diploma, the crowd cheered, not just for her, but for the journey they'd shared. Jazmine hugged her tightly afterward, whispering, "You did it, girl." Later, as Emma packed for college, she sat down with her mother. "Mom, thank you," she said, her voice steady. "This school changed me. It taught me that we're all more alike than different." Sarah's eyes welled with tears as she pulled Emma into a hug. Emma's story spread beyond Orangeburg-Wilkinson. Her blog post was shared online, inspiring discussions in the community and beyond. She went on to study sociology in college, determined to advocate for educational equity. Back at Orangeburg-Wilkinson, her legacy lived on. New students heard about the white girl who became part of their community, and teachers used her story to encourage others to bridge divides. Emma's time at Orangeburg-Wilkinson wasn't just about surviving a 99% black school. It was about proving that courage, empathy, and openness could dismantle barriers. In a town marked by the scars of segregation, she became a small but powerful symbol of hope, showing that one person's choice could ripple outward, changing hearts and minds.